Hello, this is the radial arm saw, and we'll talk about the parts. This is the carriage. This is the arm. It rotates, that's why it's called a radial arm saw. This is one of the guards. There's another one here. Those need to be operating. They need to be able to move up and down as we pull them. If they're not operating, then you need to let the instructor know, and he will fix that and repair it. Another safety feature is the retractor. That's this cable. Its job is to pull the carriage back when, if you let go of the handle. The on-off switch is right here. Okay, the handle's right here. We can do lots of different adjustments and procedures with this saw, but we leave it in this configuration to do cross-cutting, which is cutting across the grain. Some of the other types of cutting are very dangerous. This is much safer than ripping with the saw. Other things you need to know: this is the table, this is the fence. When we're cutting wood, we want to keep tight against the table and tight against the fence. Should never be working like that. This is a big no-no. Always tight against the table, tight against the fence. Now we have a 6-inch margin of safety with this saw. That means keep your hands at least 6 inches away from the blade while it's turning. I've gone ahead and put some marks at 6 inches. You should keep your hands outside of that. And that 6 inches pertains to the whole length of the table. When you're out here and the blade is on, you want to make sure your hands are at least 6 inches away from the saw. What this saw is really good for is to put a stop in place, and we can take a block of wood and clamp it in place and set it the proper distance, and we can cut 100 pieces all the same length by using a stop. A C-clamp works really well to attach that in place. The other thing we can do is put the board down on the table and put a couple of screws in it, and that does the same thing. Now, as with any tool, we want to make sure our workspace is clean and clear. Make sure we got good footing. You want to make sure that when you start the machine, it's not touching the work to be cut. You want the blade to be free to move. So you turn it on, you let it come to full speed, and then you go ahead and make your cut. With this, we can go ahead and set it in place, get it lined up ahead of time. We can set back and turn it on, and then we can go ahead and pull it and make the cut. Now this kind of saw, the blade is turning in this direction, and the saw wants to come towards you. So as you cut, you have to hold the blade back. You have to control how fast the carriage comes through the wood. If it gets out of control, it'll come to you and then seize up in the wood. That's called a kickback. If that happens, just turn the switch off and then push the carriage all the way back, get reset, turn it back on, and go ahead and start your cut again. But to control it, you kind of have to use your arm and your shoulder to help run it slow. On a small piece of wood like this, it's not as much of an issue. But if you've got a large piece of wood like a 2x6 or 2x8, it becomes a big issue. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. Now there are several things that are hazards. Let this thing come to a stop. Okay, little pieces of wood that can get caught back in here. When the blade hits them, it can throw them, they can hit the wall and bounce back. The sawdust collector is usually on and it sucks most of those pieces up. But every now and then one will come back, and that's one of the reasons we wear safety glasses. Now, another cardinal rule is never cross your arms. If you cross your arms, you're putting yourself at risk. You always work in the open position. This is safe. This is not, okay? So always work in the open position. And I think that is it for now.